How did it affect? The Pandemic, a Mafioso? By Brandon Valle Espinal. Well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Marlon, a tough guy that very few people really know. The family I had was beautiful. 2 little girls and a fabulous woman, Italian descent, or it couldn't be any other way. It was early in the pandemic when me and my boys were just finishing taking out a guy, a crooked rat, who a few months ago had stolen good money from our merchandise, almost $200,000 in contraband. Everything was going normally until the symptoms of the pandemic began. The first contagion appeared, and everything got worse day by day. I remember it clearly when we were on a yacht, on a trip through Italy. Me and my boys Carlo, Ricey and Marco made fun of that pandemic and its possible attacks on our bodies, prepared with the best wood. That same afternoon we remembered and made a list of all the events where we almost lost our lives. The weeks went by like that, with no more news, only problems in Asia, things that did not affect us immediately. But business was already starting to sense something. When 2 weeks later one of the biggest bosses in Genoa fell due to the coronavirus. Fancello di Rossi was an older guy, but somewhat overweight, highly respected in the underworld. Hardly anyone would stand up against him for his kindness, but the virus did. It finished him off. A guy who honestly didn't deserve that death. The whole Famiglia community gathered in their respective places to eat pasta and think about the seriousness of this disease, since this man had the protection of more than 40 bodyguards and still fell. Since then we have been monitoring everything, paranoid and skeptical, with respective fear of the pandemic and COVID. You don't know what it is until it arrives at your doorstep and takes the most guarded. So the big bosses invested a lot of money in their health and safety. So one day, like any other day, in one of the big spice exchanges in the port of Callao, 2 men were found dead by COVID, both obese. These men were in closed places from where they watched the police through small holes. They were one day found dead. We thought it was poisoning, but everything indicated the trace of the pandemic. Since then, the family business began to be in danger. Days later, the president, one of our greatest eyes in politics, called the whole thing off. He made a strict quarantine so that all shipments were canceled. But we managed to make a speculative profit of $50,000 a month. From what we normally took $500,000 a month, we could still live on that. Until one of my trusted men, Carlo Falfer, known as the Arab or Turk in one of those hidden drug deals, got infected. And we, being very close, always had lunch on Sundays, with the whole family. Months later he got worse. My whole family was infected. Complete story at Amazon KDP.